Step 1. Get everyone's attention. A powerful, majestic start. Maybe a battle horn of some kind.
Step 2. Drums. There has to be drums. It doesn't hurt if the drums are played by gorgeous, topless men. It's proven very efficient throughout the years. But please feel free to try other alternatives. It's proven very helpful to go the exact opposite way. Use a grandmother.
Step 3. Show the viewers your country's ethnic background by using an old traditional folklore instrument that no one's heard of before.
No. In this case, it's proven much more efficient to not use a young model. Go with an old man instead. A beard helps.
This instrument is called the Swedish kvinnaböske, a small roundish piece from the horn family inherited from the Vikings. Just make something up. No one will know. Step 4. In Eurovision, nothing says winner like a violin. Trust us, bring a violin.
Step 5. The violin, the drums and the kvinnaböske might make it all feel a little bit old-fashioned. But this can easily be fixed by adding a DJ who pretends to scratch. In real life, of course, this is 30 years old. But in Eurovision, it will give your number a contemporary feel.
Step 6. Costumes. You need to look memorable, something that the viewers will notice.
Oh, perfect. Step 7. The song. Everything else might be important, but the song is essential. Let it be about something everyone can connect to. Love works. Peace is also a popular way to go.
Peace is good. ABBA actually won the competition with a song about war, with Waterloo, but this is not something we recommend.
Now, when you have everything you need and the pieces gathered, go for it and don't look back.
Let the song begin with passion, let the wind begin to blow.
You can break the rules of fashion and your chance to win shall grow. Look into the TV camera so the audience can see
that you're lovable, not desperate, smile and they will vote for me.
Fill the stage with light as dancers will join us. The expectations grow, it's time for the chorus. Love, love, peace, peace.
For women baking bread, peace, peace.
Love, love. And a man in a hamster wheel.
Love, peace, peace.
Love,
make it unforgettable. You will be the best.
and win the Eurovision Song Contest.
Now we'll go down a notch, our hands will touch, pretending we're in love.
It's you and me, and when we change the key,
We'll give the world a show. It begins to snow.
love, love, peace, peace, and a burning fake piano, peace, peace, love, love,
And a Russian man on skates. Love, peace, peace, love. It'll be incredible. You will be the best. Love, love, peace, peace. Party for everybody. Peace, peace, love, love.
more tricks in the hamster wheel.
Love, peace, peace, love. And we can guarantee that you will be the best. And win the Eurovision Song Contest. And win the Eurovision Song Contest.
Hello, and once again, welcome back to ESCtalk, where for 30 minutes, Eurovision is the main focus. Now, on this show, we've spoken a lot about the songs and artists that have made Eurovision what it is, but at the end of the day, what really makes Eurovision is a mixture of many things, including the songs and artists, but also the host venue and stage, presenters, press events, and interval acts. Therefore, today, we're going to be looking at the best Eurovision editions as a whole. taking into account all of the things I mentioned just a minute ago. However, there is something different about this. On Tuesday, I asked on Twitter which Eurovision year, out of 2014, 15, 16 and 17 was your favourite, and now I have the results, meaning that for the first time, the ranking is completely your choice. So, without further ado, let's kick this off and see which year is your favourite. To make my life easy, we have a tie for 4th and 3rd place between 2014 and 2015, meaning that I get the tiebreaker vote, which I've got to give to a Eurovision year close to my heart, which is 2015, meaning that 2014 has come in 4th place. Now, I must say that I am shocked that 2014 has ultimately ended last out of the 4, as it, in my opinion, has the greatest venue, I'm going to say it, the greatest venue in the world. Genuinely. Anyway, as we know, the 2014 edition of the show was held in Denmark after their win the previous year. A total of 37 countries took part, after the withdrawal of Cyprus, Bulgaria, Croatia and Serbia, making it a pretty small Eurovision in comparison to recent editions. The venue was actually an old shipyard in Copenhagen, which was completely transformed into a Eurovision village, with press centre, main stage, red carpet area and all of the other amenities you need for a good Eurovision. The year saw Eurovision royalty Valentina Monetta return for a 3rd consecutive year, and even qualify with song Maybe, performed in a clamshell, as well as the Teletubbies representing Iceland, a seesaw, a circular piano, a hamster wheel, and of course eventual winner, bearded drag queen Conchita Wurst, who delivered one of the most iconic winners' speeches in Eurovision history. Staging-wise, all of the props made this year's staging so unique and creative. Perhaps the 2018 acts should have watched this edition to see how to stage without an LED screen. Despite this edition really is appalling for language variation, with only 3 songs in the grand final being sung entirely in a language other than English, meaning that any sense of cultural identity seemed absent in every country but Italy, if you know what I mean. This edition didn't really have any iconic entries either, other than returners Paula Selling and Ovi, and Valentina and Conchita, which may be the reason why it might not have been a favourite in your eyes or mine. At this point, I would play a predetermined song in order to break up the sections. I'm going to do that, however we're going to randomise it a little bit. In this here bucket to my left, I have the names of each country that has competed from 2014 to 2017, and at random I will draw a country, and whichever comes out I will play. Let's just hope something like Cyprus doesn't come out. Okay. So, we have got Azerbaijan.
Someone selling garden roses down the square. People gathering by to breathe the morning air. But no one sees the bitter cold and shivering empty hands. A schoolgirl running by trying to beat the bell. People dropping toys and coins and wishing away else. But no one cares for dreams that don't fit into our world. Maybe nightfall, darkest skies. Start the fire. A soldier in
listening to ESCtalk, where for 30 minutes, Eurovision is the main focus. Today, we're going to be looking at the best Eurovision editions as a whole, taking into account the stage, songs, artist and the host. Next up, we have our third placing year, which is 2015. Earlier, I mentioned that this year had a special place in my heart, and that is because it is the first year that I watched the semis and the finals of, as well as following the entries prior to the finals. This year again I think is brilliant staging wise, with our winner displaying one of the most technologically advanced performances until the emergence of holograms the following year. A lot of people criticised the stage, saying that it's tiny compared to previous years. But why do you need a huge stage if there's only going to be a maximum of 6 people on it during an act? Song-wise, I have to say it is a fairly weak year, consisting mainly of ballads and radio-friendly songs. Again, not really representing the culture of the country that it's representing. But it must be said that this is probably the worst technical year since 2009. I've already spoken about some of the technical crimes of 2015 on my third episode of ESCtalk, which you can find linked below. But they include a smoke machine for malfunctions during Georgia's performance, 3 connection failures during the voting sequence, and some lost camera shots. And a finger in one of the camera shots for Heroes. At least I hope it's a finger. Of course, we can't fail to mention the hosting for 2015, which was bad enough to actually be quite funny and interesting, although not in the way that's intended. The awkward atmosphere and static hosting really did not live up to the standard you would expect of a Eurovision edition, with Miriam often rubbing Alice and Arabella up the wrong way with her off-the-cuff comments and ad-libs, which were actually kind of funny. Either way, it was nice to see Conchita getting so involved with hosting the Green Room, and it was a great addition to begin my lifelong addiction on. Now, we're going to go back to the bucket and see which song from 2015 we're going to hear. Okay, mix it up a little bit first. And we have got Belarus. So, let's hear from Time.
Tell me where I belong. I've been trying for so long. Breaking out through the night made me see the bright light. Now I'm willing to fight, and I know that time is on my side. Time is like thunder, hear it like thunder. All we've got are some beds and I'm trying not to waste. Time is like thunder, beating like thunder in our cave. Time is like thunder.
As voted by you, in second place we've got 2017, which was hosted in Kiev, Ukraine, after the win of Zelmerlöw the previous year. What really stands out for me in the top 2 placing years is the personality that the acts have. One example being Navi Band, whose personality shone through every single interview they gave, making it one of the reasons why they were my number 1 this year. Every Eurovision fan knows that the run-up to the contest is just as important as the big event itself. Therefore, you need the right mix of people in order to make this a success. The hosting can't really be flawed. The guys did a good job, but there was nothing really special about the way this was done. But what was good was the strong sense of national identity throughout the show, with Zelmerlöw singing in Ukrainian during the first semi-final interval, and a mashup of different Eurovision songs using national instruments to open up the second semi-final. I think that song variation this year was really good, with even the songs at the bottom of my list still getting played rather than skipped in my playlist. Why? It's because they're unique. Take Reign of Revolution by Fusemark, for example. Not the greatest song in the world, but nonetheless, when she starts with the yeah yeahs, my attention is grabbed and retained throughout the song. One thing about this year is that the song quality was maybe a bit too high, if that makes sense, as it made me sad when songs that would have gone through any other year had to be cut, because there was literally no room for them in the final. One example being Serbia, who were 3 points away from qualifying over Denmark, an outcome that I wouldn't have been surprised to see. Once again, it's time to pull another country from my bucket. So, now we've got Italy.
Essere o dover essere, il dubbio amletico, contemporaneo come l'uomo del neolitico, l'intelligenza è demode, risposte facili, dilemmi inutili. Cercasi, storie dal gran finale, sperasi, comunque vada Pantarei, and singing in the rain. Lezioni di Nirvana, c'è Buddha in fila indiana, per tutti un'ora d'aria di gloria. La folla grida un mantra, l'evoluzione inciampa, la scimmia nuda balla, occidentali scarma, occidentali scarma, la scimmia nuda balla, occidentali scarma. Cercasi, umanità virtuale, sex appeal, comunque vada Pantarei, and singing in the rain. Lezioni di Nirvana, c'è Buddha in fila indiana, per tutti un'ora d'aria di gloria. La folla grida un mantra, l'evoluzione inciampa, la scimmia nuda balla, occidentali scarma, occidentali scarma, la scimmia nuda balla, occidentali scarma. Quando la vita si distrae, cadono gli uomini, occidentali scarma. Occidentali scarma, la scimmia si rialza. Namaste, Ale. Lezioni di Nirvana, c'è Buddha in fila indiana, per tutti un'ora d'aria di gloria. La folla grida un mantra, l'evoluzione inciampa, la scimmia nuda balla, occidentali scarma,
You're listening to ESCtalk, where for 30 minutes, Eurovision is the main focus. Today, we're going to be looking at the best Eurovision editions as a whole, taking into account the stage, songs, artists, and the hosts. We're now on to your favourite recent edition of Eurovision, which is 2016, which won the vote by a landslide and not without good reason. This year saw the show return to Sweden after a short break of just 2 years away, this time being hosted in capital Stockholm, in the same venue as the 2000 edition of the show. Many expected Denmark to take the victory, as it had done in the previous 2 years when it had been held in Sweden. But instead, it was underdog Ukraine who won controversially, under new voting system rules. This has got to be my least favourite Eurovision stage, due to the awkward shape of it, crushing the ability to have a clear back projection, ruining acts such as Iceland, whose staging really depended on it. Despite this, Sweden had spent a lot of money to make this Eurovision the best there had ever been, and they didn't fail. The magical mix of Petra, Mede and Måns Zelmerlöw could have made paint drying seem like a circus act, with their witty hosting and performance skills really shining in Love, Love, Peace, Peace. And whilst previous editions have had 3 or 4 hosts, the pair of them was all that was needed in order to make the show a success. Production just seemed to run flawlessly throughout the show, and the songs again were really varied. And songs such as Belgium and Georgia, with quite precise and intricate staging, were rehearsed with the stand-in multiple times in order to get the best outcome for the country. The Swedes were not wrong when it came to creating suspense either, with the Melodifestivalen system of voting being implemented for the first time that year. There was also an underlying friendship between many of the entrants, including Sergei Lazarev, Zoe, Douwe Bob, Yuri Putzman, and Bare, and others, which is something we've not seen enough of in previous editions. They reminded us that Eurovision is not just about the competition and who wins in the end. It's about building bridges, celebrating diversity, and coming together as a continent. Once again, it's almost time to select a song at random from the bucket, but before that I want to say a big thank you to everyone who voted in the poll, and for everyone who listens to my shows. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to participate in future polls, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Eurovision Talk. Now, let's see who we're going to next. Whoop. We are going to Poland. Michał Szpak with Colour of Your Life. Thanks again, guys.
When loneliness is knocking on your door, everything